Welcome and thank you all for coming. I am going to move things around my screen so I can still see you. Maybe, I don't know if that's going to work. Oh, well. I'm looking off to the side. I'm trying to see what you all are doing. And I want to mention before I start that I'm perfectly happy for any of you to interrupt. So if you have questions as we're going along, please just let me know. I'm happy to, you don't have to hold your questions until the end. We can talk about them as we go. As we said, I'm going to talk about the program's sampler platter. I always think of SIAM, or I had thought of SIAM probably before I came on staff, as sort of conferences and student chapters and journals and books. And those are the things that I think about when I think about SIAM. And I don't think about programs, but I think they're a really nice, value added to your membership. So that's why I wanted to talk about them. So I'm going to talk about programs that we have for high school students, undergrads, grad students, and then community members that are early in their careers, and maybe some other resources and opportunities that we have at SIAM that are not programs, but are things that we do. So in general, just so you know, we're working on when I'm talking about SIAM programs and initiatives, we support students and professionals who are looking to broaden their educational and career opportunities. So those are the sorts of things that I'm involved in on a daily basis, which means I have the best job ever, really, that I get to support students and help them with their education and careers. Starting with the sort of earliest students that we have a program for is MathWorks Math Modeling Challenge that is sponsored by the MathWorks and has been since 2018. They've been on as our title sponsor. This is a program that is an internet-based competition. There's no registration or participation fees, and it's for high school juniors and seniors and sort of the equivalent in England and Wales, where students get a chance to use math and data to solve real-world problems. So how the challenge works is we have teams of 3 to 5 students, and they work on a specific challenge weekend. There's a specific weekend set aside, usually in March, late February, early March. And sometime during that Friday to Monday, teams will download the question, and then they have 14 hours during which to upload their solution. So examples of past problems, 2019, we had a question about substance use and abuse, and we sort of asked students at that time to think about how, vaping sort of has come to be and have maybe similar trends as cigarettes did back in the day. And so can they predict where that peak is? And also talking about sort of like modeling substance use in communities of students, thinking about how it spreads, if you will. So there were some interesting questions there. In 2020, we asked about big rigs turning over to from diesel to electrical. This was in partnership with North American Freight Efficiency Society. And so they helped us come up with questions of interest to them. In 2023, we had a question about the growth of e-bike use. So this was post-pandemic. And during the pandemic, the interest in e-bikes increased significantly. I don't know if that's because people had a little bit of extra money and they could think about buying e-bikes, or if they were just trying to figure out how to get out of the house somehow. But our questions around that were sort of like, is it going to continue? Is it going to peak and come back down? And then a lot of follow-on questions like sort of impact of that. Is it going to impact electric car market? Is it going to, do we need to think about safety and traffic issues, or, environmental issues or impacts that might come from this? So they could ask sort of a bunch of big open-ended questions too. The 2024 question was about the housing shortage and people experiencing homelessness and how those two are intertwined. This was an interesting question in that a lot of our questions are sort of predicting out things in short term. And this one definitely asked students to say, hey, if you make policy changes now, it's going to take a long time before things turn. And so thinking about, sticking to policy changes and how they're going to affect long-term outcomes. That's one of the things about that question. Last year's question was about the increasing duration and frequency of heat waves and how those might affect the power grid. So we gave students some data and asked them to think about, how to make sure that people can still have access to things like air conditioning, even when it's getting really hot. I hope what you're getting from this is a sense of questions that don't feel like traditional math questions. So that is one of the things about M3 Challenge that makes it different than a lot of math contests. Solutions undergo a rigorous multi-phase calibrated judging process, mostly PhD mathematicians involved in that. And then finalist teams travel to New York City to present their solutions at a final event. And we end up awarding $100,000 in scholarships to 35, or I think it's 37 teams every year. So it's a really awesome program to be a part of. Resources available through M3 Challenge. So if you go to our website, m3challenge.siam.org, you can find all of our past problems and solutions. So they're all posted there. So all of the past problems are up there, but also those top solutions from teams are posted. And those are, could be a good use in a classroom at some point if you wanted to. The problems for sure, but even asking modeling students to critique some of the solutions, I think that could be a use for them. The game report, guidelines for assessment and instruction in math modeling. We have that available on our website. We have more resources posted over here. There's the past problems, the game report. We have math modeling handbooks. These are written at the high school level, but we know that some college instructors, especially for like those sort of introductory classes, that if you're going to take one math class for your like required math class, and they want to like have it be a modeling class instead of something like, basic algebra class, they'll use these modeling handbooks. So we have both of those available for free on the website. There's a bunch of videos and video series about modeling, how to do it, how to get started. Those are all available on our website. Including this new one, our 20th anniversary video that is really fun if you have a chance to look at that one. And I forgot to mention that we just had a grant program, the SIAM Supporting Teachers in Math Modeling grant program that provided small amount of money, $750 to teachers who were developing materials to either use in their classroom or to use in like an after-school program or something like that. If you are interested in getting involved in M3 Challenge and you're interested, you could volunteer to coach a local team or support some students, support some of like your undergrads if they wanted to get involved in coaching a team. If you have ideas for interesting problems, we are always seeking interesting problems. If you're interested in becoming a judge for the challenge, there is an honorarium associated with that, and we're always looking for good judges. So you can reach out to me if you're interested in that. Connect us with potential sponsors for the contest. That would be awesome. And important deadlines to know about. Registration opens in November every year and then closes in February. This year, challenge weekend is February 27th to March 2nd. So that's all of the stuff that we have going on for that program. Moving on to our undergrads, we have a program called the SIAM Simons Undergraduate Summer Research Program. This year, this program has 5 sites across the US, and each site we have 1 mentor and 2 participants who do research and learning in applied math, computational science, data science. So you can kind of think of this as like an REU program, if that is a more familiar setting for you. So it's just it's a summer research program. But in addition to doing the summer research, we do have virtual sessions for the participants so they can present their work and participate in professional development activities. So we usually bring some people from industry to come talk about what their careers are like and advice that they have. We have some community building initiatives so that we can foster a sense of belonging for these students and hopefully keep them in our community in the long term. During the program, we also meet in New York City and so everybody gets a chance to meet each other, even though they're at 5 different sites. And they present research and meet with some people in industry at that time. And we also have students present their research the following summer at SIAM annual meeting. So this is a really awesome program. The mentors from this past summer are on this page, and I said there were 5. We did have one drop out at the very last minute, unexpectedly was going to not be able to participate. So we ended up sending the students from that site over to Adelphi. So they actually had 4 students this year. So that was really fun. Yeah, but anyway.
So I'm curious, how are the faculty mentors and students picked for this?
Great question. We have an application program, and I'm going to skip ahead. I'll come back to this for just a second. During the summer, we open up an application for mentors. And so that mentor application just closed for next summer. And so we'll open the application again in summer of 2026 for mentors to apply to be a mentor for 2027. So we have to work really far ahead on the mentors because when we engage with the mentors, we're engaging with 5 different institutions. And so we have to iron out contracts with all of those institutions and make sure there's some place for the students to stay and that we have housing and lodging and all of that stuff lined up. So we have to do that stuff pretty early. The students themselves apply starting in November, and it'll be either through the end of January or early in February. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And all the students that participate in the program, our funding covers so much. So funds all the travel to and from the site, travel to and from New York City, covers lodging and meals, covers travel to that SIAM conference and registration. And so covers fully them to go to that annual meeting the following summer. And in addition, they have a generous weekly stipend of $1,000 a week. We do have an expectation that students who participate in this program don't do other work on the side. So they're not, that this is what they're doing for the summer. And there's a nice support for the faculty mentor as well. Alrighty. Okay. At the graduate student level.
I have a quick question. Yeah. So for this program, is there like a targeted range for where these undergraduate students are in their journey?
That's a great question. So that partially depends on the sites that we choose. And so we try to be intentional and make sure that we have selected sites that have like a wide range. In particular, I try to make sure there's at least one site that's open to students maybe after they finish their first year of undergrad, and probably that we have 1 or 2 sites that are for students that are entering their last year of undergrad, and try to have something at all ranges so that we could invite students from all of those ranges.
And just one more question. So do students apply to the whole program or to the specific sites? Like, can they say, I want to be considered for one of these, or do they have to?
We ask the students to rank their interest in particular sites. So we put the sites on the website, and then they can say, I'm really interested in, this one and this one. And they'll rank them, but they'll also get a chance to say, I ranked them this way, but I would actually be interested in any of them. Or I ranked them this way, but I'm really only interested in my first or second choice, and I probably wouldn't come if it wasn't. So we try to gauge their interest that way and do our best in this like Tetris game on the back end of here's what here are the classes you've had and what's required and what you've expressed interest in. And do our best trying to match them. Alrighty. At the graduate student level, we have a couple of opportunities. The first one is called Graduate Student Math Modeling Camp. This one is coupled with something called mathematical problems in industry. So while I'm talking about it, you could be thinking that this is a prep for sort of the second half. So Graduate Student Math Modeling Camp is a 4-day training experience for either graduate students or we do accept advanced undergraduates. And I like to pitch this program for students who are sort of in that in between. I'm going to graduate school next year. So maybe they don't qualify for undergraduate programs, but maybe they don't qualify for graduate programs either. And if they're in this in between, this can be a nice program for them. So we invite experienced faculty members to work with groups of students through some research. And so this is not necessarily open-ended questions. It could be research that they sort of already know the answer to, but they're helping guide students through the modeling process and through maybe learning some mathematical and numerical solution techniques, problem solving, and clearly they're working in a group setting, so they have to they're going to work on teamwork and communication. So this is sort of a gentle guided experience through looking maybe at some industrial data if they haven't done that before, or industrial motivated research. Yeah, so that's what happens on this one. It's a little bit more guided. And all of the student and mentor expenses are covered. For the students who participate in this, there is an expectation that they would go on to the workshop that happens the next week. These are the mentors that were involved in the program last summer. And I do want to mention actually that 2 of these mentors were mentors that were previous mentors in the SIAM Simons program. So it's sort of having some nice synergy among the programs, which I'm really enjoying. If you want to get involved in Graduate Student Math Modeling Camp, you can ask about being one of our mentors. You should also encourage your students to participate. Applications are typically due in April, and then the camp happens in June or July. And so that one feeds really into the second workshop. And this one is a chance for students to work on real open-ended problems that industry bring. And they're like, this is a problem that I want to know the answer to. I want your insight. And so the first day of this program is those industry representatives showing up and saying, here's my problem. This is what I want us to focus on. And then the students express interest in working on that particular problem. So then they end up breaking up into groups and working on specific problems of interest to the industry representatives that have shown up. So the first part, the Graduate Student Math Modeling Camp, sort of gives the students some skills. And then the second part is, now that you've got some of those skills, let's put those to work. This one is a little bit bigger than just having the students work on it. So we do have the industry representative stays and continues to work on the problem, but we also invite some senior faculty and attending like postdocs and other graduate students that have participated in this. You can participate in this one multiple times. So we invite some graduate students back who had successful experiences previously for them to work on problems again. So this is a super great program. At the end, each group produces a report. Sometimes they're able to be submitted to a peer-reviewed journal, and a lot of times they continue working through the next year on trying to get that research in a publishable place. But either way, there's a report that comes from this, so everybody can get some sort of publication, if you will, out of this. Last year, we had 3 companies present problems: RTX, Veronix, and Kauai. And so they were really interesting questions that they were working on. And the MPI was at Claremont Graduate University last year. So last year, I think they were both West Coast. They were both in California. This year probably will be East Coast, although I don't think we've signed contracts yet. So I can't say for sure. But if you're interested in this program, you could ask about being one of our mentors. Long-term, you might consider being a host institution for this. You could connect us with potential corporate partners. So if you know of someone in industry that has problems that would be interested in engaging in a scenario like this, we'd love to see that. We do know that past participants have gone on to work for these institutions, so there's some benefit to the companies in that respect. In addition to getting, some solution for the problem that they brought, they also are getting new interns or students that are interested in working for them. Applications are due for this one in June. I think it's the same application portal. And then the workshop happens immediately following that graduate student math modeling camp in June or July. Another opportunity we have for graduate students is the Jean Golub SIAM Summer School. This is a 2-week graduate level school focusing on topics of interest that are sort of hot right now, if we can. And it's held every summer at a different location around the world, and it's free to the 40 students who apply to this program. So I want to give you an idea of what some past projects were. 2024 was iterative and randomized methods for inverse problems. That was in Quito, Ecuador. The most recent one was Frontiers in Multidimensional Pattern Formation. That followed our annual meeting in Montreal, so it was a little bit later this year for that reason, but typically it's June or July. Typically it's July, I should say. And next year, it looks like end of July, early August for fault-tolerant algorithms in quantum computing. That one's going to be at Duke next year. In the pictures, none of those pictures are associated with 24, 25, or 26. I think the top one was from Italy in 2022, Colorado in 2018 on the bottom left, and on the bottom right, that was at the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences in Rwanda and Cameroon. So this is one of my favorite programs in that we really try and get this one to happen, all over the world, to give people a chance to have access to this one. You could consider being a host institution for this one. Letters of interest are due at January 31st every year. And you can also spread the word to graduate students. Applications for participating in the program are typically due in spring, but all of the funding they are covered in traveling to the site. And you could also volunteer to serve on the steering committee for the Jean Golub SIAM Summer School. If you wanted, that would be another way to get involved. All right, so those are opportunities that we have for graduate students. If you have moved on and you've just gotten your PhD or gotten it pretty recently, we do have a set of programs for early career community members. And so this is the first one that I'll mention, MGB SIAM Early Career Fellowship. This is just recognizing achievements of early career applied mathematicians, specifically those whose voices have been historically missing from the mathematical sciences in the US. And this provides support for professional activities and career development. So we have a cohort typically of 5 to 8 fellowships, and they'll be in the cohort for 3 years. So we have funding for them to come to conferences and other professional activities for 3 years. These are the fellows, the most recent fellows that were named. That's always exciting to see this group of people, and I get to see them at conferences over time. So they always are really engaged, fun people. If you're interested in getting involved in this program, first of all, if you're early career, there's the deadline is November 1st. This is going to be true for all the early career programs. We have them all have a deadline of November 1st. So that application is open now. You should encourage early career folks to apply, share the opportunity among those in your network. Part of the requirements of the program is that the fellows will have mini symposia at our meetings. So you are welcome to attend the talks that they have organized. You could also consider volunteering to serve on the steering committee for this program. There is one at-large SIAM member who is on that committee. The second early career program is the SIAM Science Policy Fellowship. So this is a chance for researchers to understand, how funding from the national level, how does that happen? and become advocates for federal support in applied math and computational science. And this feels like a terribly important program, right? Like this feels like a really important one right now, as we are watching and hearing lots of news about cuts to funding in science and math. So becoming strong advocates feels very important. These fellows end up joining science policy committee members and attending congressional meetings in DC and advocating for science interests and working on policy programs. So that's another super fun program. 3 to 5 fellows every year, and they serve 2-year terms that include remote, in-person and remote training. They go to the committee meetings in DC, interface with federal officials, participate in an advocacy day on Capitol Hill. So this is, again, for postdoc early career researchers who work and live in the US and have to be able to have the ability to commit to travel to DC twice a year during the term of the fellowship. If you're interested, here's the fellows, the most recent cohort of fellows. And if you are interested in becoming involved in this program, the application is again due November 1st. Share this opportunity with people who might be interested in it, attend the talks at SIAM meetings about this, and consider volunteering on the SIAM Science Policy Committee if you're interested in getting involved in this effort. The final one is the SIAM Postdoctoral Support Program. This is a great program for a student who has graduated and still could benefit from a little bit of mentorship. So this is this crucial point in your career where you've had the mentorship of your thesis advisor this entire time, and then you graduate and you're expected to sort of move on to your own research. And maybe you could use some help, a little bit help getting established in some research, maybe opening up the range of things you would want to work on. So if a person can identify a mentor from a different institution that they might want to work with, then they can get up to $15,000 in financial support to go work with them. It has to have a significant in-person component, but the funding can be used for travel and to stay for the time period while they're meeting directly, and also to travel to conferences. So basically, the postdoc and the mentor jointly figure out what plan would work for them to be able to work on research together. And we select 2 to 4 pairs annually through this program. Here's our most recent set of awardees. So from across the world. If you are interested in this, if you're an eligible postdoc or postdoctoral researcher, apply. The deadline is November 1. If you are interested in mentoring, you could also, we often have postdocs reach out to someone to be a mentor. It could also be if you're a mentor and you know a young researcher, you could encourage someone to apply with you. If you'd be willing to serve as a reviewer for applications in the program, please reach out. I'm happy to have reviewers for this program as well. Okay. That's most of the programs that I was going to talk about. We have other stuff going on at SIAM as well. And so there's more that I could talk about. I think I'm going to breeze through these rather quickly. And you can stop me if you want more details on any of these. We do offer free SIAM student membership. If you go to the website, it will tell you that there is a cost for SIAM membership. If anybody reaches out to me directly, we can make free SIAM membership happen, and that would entitle the student to free membership in activity groups, discounts on books and journals, conference registration, subscriptions to SIAM News and SIAM Newsletter, and all of those things. But if you are a SIAM member, you also can nominate students for free membership. So you're free to take advantage of this as a faculty member. Here's a great resource for students. We have student travel awards. So this covers travel and registration support for students and early career researchers so that they can attend conferences. Current full-time students who are good standing at a US-based and US-based early career researchers who are within 6 years of having received their degree are eligible to apply for travel support. So if you go to a conference, one of the SIAM conference web pages, I think you'll find a link to get to the travel awards page, or you can just search out the travel awards page. These are sort of the deadline moves all the time because it's associated with the particular conference that you would want to attend. So, other resources for students. Students can start a student chapter or become an officer of their student chapter if there already is one. We have a lot of videos on our website on how to prepare for an interview at a career fair. What is math used for? We have resume building workshops pretty regularly. We have webinars associated with various activity groups pretty regularly. There's a job board, and we have career fairs. Usually once or twice a year, we'll have career fairs. There's a student newsletter, and then there's the visiting lecturer program, which is really great. So if there is a student chapter who's looking for someone to come give a talk, that's a great place to look, visiting lecturer program. We have a careers brochure. We keep this pretty up to date. So it was done, I don't know, a year or two ago, where we highlight the careers of some people in industry and kind of talk about salary ranges. What do they do on a daily basis? What do they enjoy about their job? Things like that. So it profiles professional mathematicians, and it does have everyone. It has people who just have a bachelor's degree up to people who have PhDs. So it can give you a sense of what careers might look like and what a career trajectory might look like. We have some people that are very early in their career and some people that are later in their career. It's a really, really nice resource for students to get a sense of what they might be able to do with a career in mathematical sciences. And we have a big jobs guide. So this is a book. It's $15, intentionally meant to have a low price, to keep the price low for students. It's written in a conversational tone, so it's a really approachable book, but it kind of helps students think about, as they're thinking about applying for jobs, what are the skills that they could offer employees? How do they write resumes? How can they find internships? What kind of jobs are out there? So it covers everything, the whole gamut of applying for jobs. I know for me as a student, I loved being a math major, but I didn't have a clue about what it would look like to apply for a job or what jobs were out there. So I would have benefited from something like this myself. And I think that's all of the stuff that I was going to try to mention, although I'm happy to talk about other things. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Okay, thank you, Karen. We appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody want to jump in? We have a raised hand.
Yes, hello.
Nazar.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Khalik Nazar. I am associate professor at University of Central Asia. Of course, it's not in US. It's far from US in Tajikistan. My question is related to this student summer camp. Is it only for math majors students, or at my university we have only 2 majors. Of course, we teach mathematics. I have environmental scientists and I have global economists. So is it possible to involve my students?
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep, there's no requirement that students be from the US, and there's no requirement that they be math majors. I think we probably would welcome non-math majors, in that it's nice to have sort of that interdisciplinary group get together.
But it's US based students, right?
Let me think. Which program are we? This is the MPI. This is not one that I oversee directly, so I have to look up. This is, I don't know if I know the answer to that off the top of my head. I'm not sure that students do have to be US based. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry. Um,
Okay,
if
no
you shoot
worries.
me an email, I can, I see, I can probably see your email. I can,
I can put my email in the chat box.
sure, that would be great. And then
Yeah.
I will find the answer out and get back to you. I don't know that it has to be US based.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
mhm.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more question in terms of
Sure.
from faculty perspective to be kind of involved in any kind of volunteering or working with colleagues. Um, I'm open for this. If again, if there is no restriction in terms of being based in US or abroad, then you can maybe clarify it by email.
I don't know that any of our volunteer positions have any requirements for with respect to that you must be US based. Not that I know of. In fact, I know we do try to make sure that our committees have representation from outside the US. So we're certainly open and often looking for people outside the US in terms of volunteers.
Okay, thank you. And also, sorry, one more question about resources for modeling. You mentioned about handbooks and problems. I was wondering if there are any kind of softwares also available, so or students might apply some software, and are they also available for students for free?
Um, let's see. So through MathWorks Math Modeling Challenge, students have access to MATLAB for the purposes of education and using it for the challenge. Um, and the link is on the website. So if you look at M3 Challenge, SIAM.org and navigate to like technical computing, I think you can find a link to where you go to get access to that MATLAB software. I for the purposes of M3 Challenge, I'm thinking it's for the high school students and their teachers. But I do know if you go to that website, you can say like I'm a student, and I don't know if there's free access there or not. So it's worth poking around probably.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of other software, I'm not aware that we have access, that SIAM members have access to any other software.
Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions I can answer?
Yeah, just maybe I'm asking too many questions. Well, sorry. I was wondering about the topics. I mean, do you offer specific topics? I understand that you have some kind of collaboration with the industry, and you might offer the topics, or students are free also to choose their own topics as well.
Is there a specific program that you're thinking about?
Yeah, let's say for modeling when students are involved.
Okay. In terms of MathWorks Math Modeling Challenge, we come up with the questions. There's one question every year. Well, yeah, every question has multiple parts, but there's like one big topic every year. And so I have a team of mathematicians that works on developing that question, that big, driving question every year. and we're always looking for questions that would be interesting to young people. They often have some sort of feel good aspect to them, like, or at least enlightening about some issue that might be of interest to them. In terms of graduate student math modeling camp, the topics are typically chosen by the mentors that are going to come. So they have to think about what problem they want to present. For the mathematical problems in industry, those are usually that someone in industry proposes the questions, and then there is a committee that oversees those and works with the industry person to find something that's going to be, what's something we can probably make some progress on in a week, or so they sort of work with them on what the problems are that are coming, that they're going to present the students. Does that answer that question? Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
I have a question. So going back to the M3 Challenge program for the high school students, you had mentioned about teams having a coach. So are all teams required to have a coach?
Teams are required to have a coach, but the requirements of the coach are minimal. So we know that there are some coaches who spend a lot of time with their teams coaching and doing, right? Like, let's do some practice problems. Let's meet. And so it could be as involved as, like really coaching a team and getting them up to a place where they're going to be competing. But in terms of like, what are our requirements of the coach? I think they have to, they sort of say they are the person who says that the team understands the rules, like that ensures that the team understands the rules. And then afterwards, the coach certifies that the team actually did the work. And beyond that, we don't personally have any requirements. We don't have any requirements that they be in the room while it's happening. We don't have any, we don't have any real requirements of the coach. So it could be a wide range of things. So sometimes the students themselves form a team and they just need someone to sign on as a coach. And then sometimes there's a coach who's like, I do this with students every year and I want a team, and tries to like recruit a group of students that they think are going to work together.
And you might not know this, but you had mentioned like, an undergraduate student could potentially coach. Do you have any idea of how often a coach is a faculty member at a nearby institution versus a teacher versus an undergrad? Just curious.
At rural institutions, in rural locations, it's sometimes harder for one school to field a whole team of students who are interested. So small rural schools, I feel like it's very hard for them to get even 3 to 5 students who would be willing to participate. So we know at some rural locations, there's sometimes some college faculty member who has a math club or who has like invited local high schools to come. And so maybe there's the 1 or 2 students at various high schools around that are coming there and getting a chance to work on some problems. And so I know we've had students that are involved in those groups. I'm not sure that the college student was the coach of record. It probably was the faculty member. I'm always trying to think about that sort of near peer mentoring thing, that students enjoy learning a lot more when there's someone closer to their age who's just, like, oh, you're an undergrad, and these side conversations can happen on the side about what's college like, actually, since we're here, so I think it could be, I think it could be a good thing. I don't know that I have tons of undergrads as the coach of record.
Okay. But like in theory, I could mentor an undergrad to be a coach,
right?
Have them on as the coach of record, right? Okay. Just thinking about the future.
Yeah. It's a model I'd like to see more of. We've talked at SIAM about trying to make something more intentional in that respect. And I think there's a little bit of hesitation about if we're trying to promote such a program, are we somehow stepping in the middle of liability in ways that we shouldn't? So yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking. Yeah. Michaela, if you come up with a model that works, I really want to hear about it.
I'll keep thinking about it and let you know.